Greetings, legendary readers. Welcome back to Larry's Legendary Library, where we explore science fiction, fantasy, and other bits and bobs. Today, we will have another Magazine Monday. We'll be looking at the October 1952 issue of Fantasy and Science Fiction. Before we crack these three stories open, let's take a moment to admire the cover work by Chesley Bonestell, widely regarded as the father of modern space art. His visionary, hyper-realistic depictions of spaceflight, planetary landscapes helped shape how America imagined future long before rockets ever left the ground. Here we have the rings of Saturn, I suppose, as seen from the surface of another planet. Let's dive in. First is Grenville's Planet by Michael Shaara. Most people know Michael as the Pulitzer Prize-winning author of The Killer Angels, later adapted into the 1993 film Gettysburg. He published a solid run of short fiction, especially during the 50s. He continued writing sporadically even into the 80s. Until his death in 1988, just shy of 60 years old. Grenville's Planet follows two mapping command spacemen named Wisher and Grenville as they survey a remote planet that is almost entirely ocean. There are 4 moons that circle overhead that raise questions about tides and what the effect of those tides might have on life. There's only a couple of tiny planets that break the surface, tiny islands that break the surface of the planet. The two land on one of these islands to gather biological samples. According to regulations, they can only proceed if they don't perceive any threat. They don't, but almost immediately, the planet exerts some kind of quiet, creepy, ominous dread that both men begin to feel. The island just doesn't feel right. The planet doesn't feel right. And the danger isn't seen so much as it's felt. The two men become separated against regulations. Wisher decides that he must break rules to find Grenville. And from there, the story continues until the climax, which I'll avoid so I don't give spoilers. This one surprised me. It was atmospheric, it was eerie, it was mysterious. There was a sense of isolation. For a short piece, it kept me fully invested and left just enough unanswered questions to linger on in the mind after finishing it. I give Grenville's Planet an L4 loaded. It is well worth your time. Next up is The First by Anthony Boucher. Anthony, also known as William Anthony Parker White, was a renowned mystery writer who also dabbled quite a bit in speculative fiction. He's one of the early influential voices in the field and even has the BoucherCon Mystery Convention named after him. The First is a lighthearted prehistoric fable about Sko, one of the earliest humans. He and his family are just scraping by, starving to death, nearly to death. While cooking some sheep stew, Sko accidentally tosses in some garlic and salt and invents haute cuisine, thousands of years early. The story's kind of funny, kind of cute. Basically, the origin story of the world's first chef. A couple of mildly amusing thoughts, but it overall didn't leave much of an impression. I give The First an L2, low-key, kind of a shrug of a story. And then finally, An Egg a Month from All Over by Idris Seabright, also known as Margaret St. Clair. Idris Seabright was a pseudonym for Margaret St. Clair, whose short fiction I've enjoyed for years. I originally encountered this story in her anthology, Change the Sky and Other Stories. And so seeing it here under her alternate name made me smile. The story is about George Litters, a solitary 46-year-old loner living in a remote cabin. His one joy in life is belonging to the Egg of the Month Club. After his mother's death, those mysterious eggs becomes his only connection to the outside world. His newest delivery is said to be a chew lizard egg from the planet Morks. Unfortunately, the package was never meant for him, and whoever it was meant for had very sinister plans. From there, things get strange, dark, and unexpected. I love this one. It was weird, it was sad, and a little bit funny in that uncomfortable way that St. Clair does so well. I give An Egg a Month from All Over an L4. It's loaded, a fantastic offbeat read. So that's a wrap for this episode of Magazine Monday. 2 L4s and an L2. A very enjoyable issue, driven by 2 strong atmospheric reads. Have you read any of these authors? I'd especially be interested in your thoughts on Margaret St. Clair. I've enjoyed many of her stories, and this one reminded me of why. Drop a comment below. I always enjoy hearing from my legendary readers. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, stay legendary. Legendary.